Welcome, everybody. How is everyone doing out there? I hope you're having a wonderful week. We are back for part two of our manifesting series.
Yes, this is episode 10.
This is amazing. I can't believe we are up to 10 episodes already. Can you?
No, it's been wild, and we still have so many more things we want to talk about. So I hope everyone out there has been enjoying. And also, if they have certain subjects maybe they want us to talk about, feel free to reach out, guys. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you, and also your thoughts. We want to hear more feedback. Share your stories. After last week's episode, we did have a number of messages, and actually, Jen, you were telling me your mom gave you some fun feedback or shared some stories with you.
Yes. Oh my God. I think it's amazing that my mom, number one, listens to our podcast. I love that so much.
Me
Thanks,
too.
Mom. I love you.
Yeah. My mom listens too. Thanks, Mom.
They're our biggest supporters. Yeah, so my mother listened to our podcast, episode 9, and she was listening specifically to you, Rebecca, talk about the spiritual breadcrumbs that show us we're on the path to our manifestation. And sometimes it's kind of like hindsight's 2020, right? Maybe while we're in the process of bringing our manifestation to our reality, we don't necessarily recognize all the steps as they come to us. But once we've achieved our manifestation or it's come to fruition, we look back and we can see all the steps that took place leading us to that. And that's exactly what happened to my mom. And I love this story so much because she talked about how she manifested her career as a nursing instructor, and all of these things just unfolded with ease for her. She said that. Now,
Mm.
I want to preface this too by saying that when I was young, my mom was a stay at home mom for several years. And some time went by, and she started teaching aerobics at the local YMCA. My mother was very into health and fitness and nutrition, and she decided to become an instructor. And later on, when she was 40 years old, she decided to go back to college. And so she went back to college, became a registered nurse, and then went into shift work at one of the local hospitals. And while she enjoyed the whole process of being a student and learning and attaining her degrees and all that stuff, she didn't so much love the shift work that was involved
Right.
because number one, it's very taxing. It's very difficult. Just the demand of the shift work alone. Lots of times we wouldn't see her for like a period of days, it seemed like, because she'd be getting mandated to stay. She was working the afternoon shift. Sometimes she'd be mandated to stay overnight. And life at home was really hard for quite a while. So she told me how she remembered when she was a student, one of her instructors she looked up to and admired so much. And she thought to herself, she set an intention, I am going to have that job someday. I want her job. I'm going to have that job. I'm going to be an instructor one day. And she also had such a love and a thirst for knowledge that she was a natural teacher. She ended up tutoring and helping some of the other students in her nursing classes who ended up doing really well and getting really good grades as a result of her extra tutoring and help. So later on down the line, she decides she wants to go on. And she said it was just like all these incredible little steps that opened up for her to bring her to her beautiful career of being a nursing instructor in the very same college that she learned in too. She keyed in so much with your term of spiritual breadcrumbs. Like that was the light that went on for her that helped her realize how she manifested that career. But I also have to tell you, now my mother is like a master manifester, but I want to tell you, she has also negatively manifested a few things that I have been witness to.
Oh, no.
And I'm so curious when you hear this, if any of our audience, any of our listeners out there, if this has ever happened to you. So my mom comes up and spends weekends with me from time to time. And one particular weekend she came up, we went out to get our nails done and we're going to lunch and everything. We're having like a girls' day. So we went to try out this new lunch spot. And I had never been there before, but heard great reviews. So we pop in there. It was a really cold day. So we were hoping to get something warm. And we walked in, and the temperature inside this place was kind of chilly. So then my mother and I sit down. She asks for a cup of hot tea. The waiter says, "No, we don't have hot tea. We have cold drinks only." Well, I looked at the face my mother made of disappointment, but the atmosphere inside this place was kind of cool. And the menu looked really good. So we were like, okay, we'll give it a shot. We'll just keep our jackets on. We asked the waiter if he could adjust the temperature. He said he didn't have a way to do that. And now I can just see the discontent on my mom's face, like, what's up with this place? This isn't comfortable. What's going on here? We opened the menu up. Everything on the menu looks wonderful. So I think I ordered like this vegetarian wrap sandwich, and my mom ordered a salad. And so we close the menu. We start drinking our cold waters. We've got our jackets on. It's cold. I've got the mindset of, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to sit here and enjoy myself. We're here now. That wasn't enough for my mom. She had a lot of negative things to say about this place. It's so cold. I can't believe they don't have tea. The salad better be good. Did you see how expensive that was? That was $15. That salad better be good. I better not get brown lettuce. So we're sitting there and our food comes out. And guess what happened?
She has brown lettuce?
My mom got brown lettuce in her
No.
salad.
Oh, no.
Mom, you made that happen.
Yeah.
You literally manifested a brown salad. And she was like, "No, I didn't. They obviously don't know what they're doing here. I can't believe that." And so she goes into this tirade of disappointment while she's stabbing at the food in her bowl and picking out the brown lettuce. My wrap, on the other hand, was amazing. It was so good. It was probably one of the best wraps I ever had. And we ended up asking the waiter for assistance with removing her salad from the bill. Okay, that's only one. I've got one more
Oh
just
my
like that for you.
gosh.
Are you ready for this? Okay. So, over the summer, my mom, my daughter, and I, we took a trip to Ocean City, Maryland to get some ocean time. And we stayed in the loveliest condo. We were right on the water. It was gorgeous weather down there, absolutely hot, sunny. The beach was incredible. The amount of places to eat down there, you have everything to choose from. Of course, we had seafood on the mind and ate a lot of seafood when we were down there. We had clams, we had lobster, we had crab cakes. So one particular night, I said to my mom, we're going to go to a really nice fancy place tonight. My treat, get whatever you want on the menu. So we show up there. And of course, the weather's gorgeous. So we elect to sit out on the deck. And it's really breezy for some reason. And I could see my mom clutch at her sweater, wrap it tight around her. And she's like, "Whoo, this is kind of chilly here." I started having flashbacks to our lunch with brown lettuce.
Oh, no.
And so now she's saying, "Boy, I wish they could just put us at a different table," but it was windy. There was something with the music, whatever. There was a lot of complaints going on. And my mother opens the menu up. We go to order and she's excited. She sees one of her favorite foods on the menu, which is lamb chops. And so she orders the lamb chops and a couple of sides. And my daughter ordered the steak. I ordered a vegetarian dish. And so we sit there and we wait. I'm just, please let her meal be perfect. I'm just silently whispering prayers to myself. Please let her meal be perfect. And out comes our meals, her lamb chops. They put them in front of her. She goes to cut into them and they are barely cooked. Like they're
Oh,
barely
no.
browned,
Oh,
completely
no.
red. Blood comes pouring out of these things
Oh, my
onto her
God.
plate. And
Oh,
she's
my God.
horrified. And I look at my mother. All I could say was, "You did it again."
You did it again. The master
Did it
manifester strikes again.
So it goes on. We
Oh,
call the waiter back over, send back the lamb chops. Please cook them a little bit more till they're medium, just pink inside. That's all we want. Thank you, please. Thank you. So they go back to the kitchen. She sits there and says, "I can't believe they didn't get it right. They better get it right this time. I hope they
no.
don't come back blackened."
Oh,
That
no.
was all she had to say because 5 minutes later, the lamb chops come back. And guess what?
No way.
They are black.
No. Oh my god.
These things were charred, and they put them
Oh
down in
my
front of my
god.
mother again, and I go, "You did it again."
Oh my god. She's gotta be like, "Shut up, Jen! Don't! Don't
Yeah.
say
Oh, yeah, of
it!"
course, by this time, she thinks I'm nuts, you know?
Yeah. But it really goes to
Yeah.
show that our thoughts and what we focus on can literally, especially if we have zero resistance to it, can literally manifest good or bad, clearly, right? So
Mhm.
the more you're worrying or thinking negative, then that is what can appear. And that is wild. Those stories are crazy. I love the story about her nursing career and how she
Yes.
had, easily got into that and ended up teaching, and how that all came together with ease. Because I think also when you mentioned that, that popped into my head. Like when general rule of thumb, when things are happening with ease that you're wanting to, and it happens easily, then I think that's a sign saying yes, yes, yes. When there's a lot of blocks, those are there for a reason. They might be saying, nope, this isn't the way to go, or it's not the time yet. Or maybe they're saying, find another option, especially if you're trying to book a flight or something. And okay, first I can't get through, and then it's not taking my credit card for some reason. And you keep getting these blocks, then maybe there's a reason. Maybe you're not supposed to go on that trip yet. So I think we should pay attention to those. But that's just a side note. We're talking more about manifesting. And today we wanted to talk more about some of the process. So we talked about law of attraction more on last week's episode. If you didn't hear that, guys, do check it out because it's a really great episode, and we share some really cool stories and tips. But this episode, we wanted to chat a little bit more of some of the process that we each intentionally take to try to speed up the process or put our desires out there and then have them come to fruition, right?
Absolutely, because there really is processes that you can follow from start to finish to bringing your manifestations to fruition. And I think you and I have kind of keyed in on some of the really important steps to bring the manifestation from start to finish.
Something I've done it for many years now. And I use the moon cycle. So I like to work with the new moon to put out new intentions. But I also will physically write a list of my desires and what I want to call in. So whether that's money or a new car or a trip to wherever or a home, I'll just write out literally whatever it is. And I have journals from years and years ago that, like, so many of these things have come true. And like the most recent one was I came on a trip to Canada and I didn't know how long I was coming for. I thought maybe a month. And I had for years been talking about how I wanted to spend summers in Canada again and spend at least a month or two at my cottage at one time. I don't think I've ever spent more than like 2 weeks at a time there. And that was when I was really young at my family cottage. And so I'd written it out for years, but specifically maybe like 5, 6 months ago, I wrote that out. And it literally came true. I just spent 7 weeks there. And it took me a while because I was also going through other stuff where I felt stuck and trapped. And then I suddenly realized, like, wait a second, I manifested this. This is what I wanted. Maybe I also wanted it to be with other people, but I didn't clearly state that when I wrote it down. I said
Mhm.
I wanted to spend time there. Well, I got to do that. So also watch what you're writing. And
Mhm.
just like when I manifested a house years ago, I definitely should have manifested a bigger one at that time, but I got what I asked for. So I do like to work with the moon cycles, and it's as simple as that, you guys. I literally just write down what I want. I believe it's possible, and I just let it
Mhm.
go. And at some point, these things show up again. And sometimes they show up way later because it might take that long for my frequency to match the frequency of that thing or experience. And maybe I won't even want it anymore, but here it is happening, right? So it's so interesting. Do you ever write out lists, or I know you work with affirmations?
Some of my like key no fail tips for manifesting are Affirmations. And this has been something I've worked on to refine over the years, because with affirmations, you have to feel alignment within when you're saying them or writing them, right? So if you write an affirmation, like we talked about last week, where I receive $1 million, and you feel that inner resistance, then you need to rephrase that. Okay. So,
Right.
really aligning yourself, your inner feeling with that affirmation is so key. But then I have some really fun ways that I like to do my affirmations, because it's so important to bring joy and gratitude into your manifestation practices. I will dance around and sing my affirmations, and I will
Yes.
create like silly little songs for my affirmations, because it makes me happy. It gets me in the state of joy and gratitude. And I say, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
And that's like creating the state that makes you more receptive. Calling things in is so important. So, getting in a
Yes.
state of gratitude, joy, and love, those are the highest vibrational frequencies of emotions that you need to tune into. So, along with my affirmations, I'm also creating gratitude lists all the time. I will sit almost every evening. This is like a practice I do before I go to bed at night. And I will write down everything that I'm grateful for. And sometimes, if it's been a bad day, maybe all I can write is, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for the breath in my lungs, the beat in my heart, the roof over my head, my daughter sleeping peacefully beside me. Maybe those are all I can really squeak out. But guess what? That also turns my vibration around. Now you're going from a state of stress and angst over that bad day you might have had to a state of gratitude again. You're shifting yourself back into that beautiful frequency of gratitude, so that you're not repelling the things that you want to call in again. You're allowing yourself to be more receptive again.
Oh, I love that so much. And then what are your next steps that you use after you have, so you have the gratitude, you go into the level of
Mhm.
gratitude, and then do you write it down? Do you envision it?
When I get into that state of gratitude, after I write my gratitude list, I'm in this perfect receptive state now.
Yes.
So I will write my affirmations, or I will write out my desire that I'm calling in. And we always want to write our desire down as if it's now already happened, right? There is only the ever present now. So when I write my affirmations, I write them in a very specific way. And I actually took this key from Bob Proctor. He's one of the grandfathers of manifestation and personal development. Go check him out on YouTube or grab one of
Yes.
his books. Bob Proctor would tell you to write your affirmations and your manifestations like this: I am so happy and grateful now that, and then you fill in the blank. I'll fill up a whole page. I am so happy and grateful now that I have, or I am, or whatever it is, but writing it as though it's already happened or it is happening. That is so key. And
Oh,
so
I
I've
love
found that
it.
scripting, they call that method scripting, when you're writing your manifestation out. I've found that to be so helpful. I've manifested so many things that way. My Cadillacs that I talked about on the last show, I've manifested my home that I currently live in by scripting. I've manifested money over and over again, scripting. And again, that's something that I do daily. When I'm intentionally, consciously manifesting something, I'm writing about it daily.
I love that. And I love that you're saying intentionally, consciously manifesting it. And also, I just wanted to go back and say, when you were talking about your gratitude lists, I could feel my heart even growing warmer as I listened to you list it off. So I think that's the thing when we do connect in with gratitude, and people can try it right now. Like if you've never done it
Yeah.
before, then just start listing things right now in your head or out loud or write it down or whatever that you're grateful for, and then notice how you
Hmm.
feel. Because for me, when I do it, even listening to yours, I could just feel this. I always consider it a warmth, but it's like a joy.
Hmm.
It's the love, like that expansion. And you're right. I think you're bang on with, if we can start with that and then go into the desires of what we want to manifest, and then of course,
Hmm.
writing them down or speaking them as if they've already come into existence.
Mhm.
I just love this process. I've said this in so many podcasts about so many different subjects, but why weren't we taught this in school?
Oh, I know. They should be teaching this because, yes, we're not taught this in school, but how much better would life be if we were taught at the most impressionable age that we create our life and that this is how you do it step by step?
Yeah. But we could start today by helping our listeners by on how they can manifest in the whole process. And then they can
Mm,
teach their children, right, to realize this new way of
mhm.
obtaining the experiences and feelings and objects that they want. It can be easier. I just feel
Yeah.
like it can be easier.
Right, absolutely. Our affirmations are a way to change our energy, change our frequency, change our vibration, to uplift
Mhm.
us, to get us into a state of receiving. But
Yeah.
also think about it this way. When you are saying nice things about yourself, kind things about yourself, like, I am strong, I am kind, I am special, doesn't that just feel good? Now, think
Mhm.
about the self talk that we sometimes do unconsciously when we're not in a state of conscious awareness, right? I'm fat, I'm slow, I'm
Mhm.
stupid, I'm not good at this. And now see the difference in how you feel. Because when
Yeah.
you are talking to yourself that way, and this is something I go through with my clients, when you're talking about yourself that way, you're driving yourself into a state of negativity and you're likely to draw more negative thoughts. It's like a spiral. You know, one negative thought turns into another negative thought, turns into another negative thought. And then you've got a spider web of negative thoughts, which attract negative events. Okay. But if you can change that thought, the negative one, into a positive one, when you catch yourself, you can literally change your energy and turn it back positive and generate more positive experiences. So it's something that I want our listeners to key into. When you all out there listening, catch yourself in a negative thought. Oh, I'm so dumb. What an idiot I am.
Mhm.
No, 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 no. Stop that thought. Say right out loud, cancel that.
Yep.
And now I choose differently. I am brilliant or I am lovable, but make it something positive.
Yes. Yes, switch it around. It's almost like alchemy. We have all this power. That's the thing. I think we
Yeah.
humans actually have a lot of power that we have not been utilizing. And I know you were mentioning you were working with a client who's trying to manifest money. So you added that into your session. Do you want to share that with the listeners? Because I was amazed, you guys. Like, this is so cool. And Jen's going
Uh,
to have her sessions all filled up quickly after they hear this.
I
I
will.
want
Thank you
one. Can I
so
be the
much.
next?
So, in my breakthrough sessions, we do an activation that I record and send back to them at the end. In the activation, I have them meet their highest self, their most perfect ideal self. And they will direct me on what it is that they're seeking in this breakthrough session, what kind of ideal self they want to call in, whether that be better health or reduced weight, more energy. And in this case, I had a client that wanted to experience more abundance in her life. So she also wanted to experience radiant health. So we just added in the abundance as part of the activation as well. When I was doing the guided activation with her, use some keywords and imagery to help her call in this abundance. And a few days after this activation, she was at a job where she made over $500 just in tips that she
Oh,
said she
wow.
had done this job before and never had made that amount of money in tips.
Whoa.
And then a few days later, she told me that suddenly she's finding money everywhere. She was doing her laundry and just money's falling into the dryer and she's pulling money out of her pockets and she doesn't even know where this money has come from, but it's just following her. And she was just amazed at the amount of abundance just flowing into her life within just a week of doing her activation. It was incredible.
It's absolutely amazing. And just so you guys know, when Jen does these breakthrough sessions, she guides you through this activation. It's kind of like a meditation with visualization in it. And then she sends you the recording.
It's an activation for your brain to rewire, to accept these new positive patterns. And then our brain becomes trained to look for these things in our life, and we're more receptive to seeing these things and allowing them into our life.
In my experience, because I was working with self-worth, like I saw my future self and she was so healthy and glowing, and her clothing and the way she held herself. And as I did that every day and listened to it and visualized it again every day, I literally felt better. I literally had options to buy new clothing. I got my hair done. I was in a place where I wasn't able to do a lot of those things when I had first worked with you. I didn't have the funds for that at that time. And all these things just came together, and I felt better about myself. Every time I listened to it and saw that version of myself, I stepped more and more into it. So the fact that you were able to do it for another client to do with abundance and actually even money, and now that she's been listening to it and reprogramming her subconscious mind, like it's literally showing up, getting tips like that she'd never got. You don't know how it's going to show up, right? You just have to
Yeah,
allow
that's
it.
true.
Is that a part of it too?
Mhm.
Allowing it to unfold.
Yeah, I think that this is an important thing in manifestation, is learning to not control the how
Yes.
things show up, but just remaining
Yeah.
open to what does show up, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes our manifestations can show up in radical ways that we wouldn't have guessed or imagined. And sometimes the unfolding can be,
They can show up in ways you weren't planned. So perhaps something happens that it doesn't feel good, you're not liking it, or something got canceled that you were supposed to go to and you end up having to go somewhere else, or like it can just show up in different ways. And it may at first feel not good. And then it's like being at my cottage and realizing like, oh, this is what I wanted. It wasn't how I envisioned it or what I thought I wanted, but it's very clearly what I asked for. So, it
yeah,
ended up being more of a hermit mode thing, which was wonderful and exactly what I needed. So I'll get more clear that maybe next year I want to spend a few months at my cottage with, whoever it is, or in different ways. But I think sometimes as we're manifesting the things we do want, some of the habits or situations we've been a part of are holding us back. So they have to somewhat be changed in order for the manifestation to be able to come to fruition. So I think
yeah.
sometimes that's what's playing out, and we don't realize, like, no, this isn't what I want, but it is. It's actually going to get us to where we want, but we may not see it until later, right? Does that?
Right. When I was trying to find a place to live at this time last year, I was in kind of a rush and I was struggling to find a home. I put my manifestation out there. I scripted, I wrote it, I visualized it. I wanted a home in the woods on a dead end street that was private, peaceful, and cozy. And time was going by, and everybody was telling me, even realtors that I contacted, there's nothing available. You're never going to find a place. And I will be honest, fret and worry was building up in me. I was stressed about it, and I ended up having to spend a couple of weeks in different Airbnbs. And I was stressed about the money that I was spending. But at one point, I really had to remember how strongly I believe in manifestation and the fact that I'm a creator. And I remember one day just sitting back and relaxing and saying, you know what? It's going to work out. I'm always supported and taken care of. This isn't going to be any different. I sat back, relaxed, and within a couple of days, I had a call from a realtor in town who said, Jen, I think I have a place for you. And I knew it immediately. I'm like, this is the place. I knew it.
Yeah.
And my home that I'm in now is everything that I envisioned for myself when I first set out into the process. But the key for me was I had to have that moment where I relaxed and I let
Yeah.
go, which is another key step in
Yeah.
manifesting. You cannot attach yourself to the hows that will unfold, and you can't attach yourself to needing that, right? Because the desperation, the neediness, let's face it, we all had that boyfriend or girlfriend at one point who was chasing us relentlessly and was so needy, and it just repels us. Well, the universe is the same way. The more we are needy and desperate and hold on and grip and clutch, the more we're literally driving away our manifestation. So if you can sit back and say, I don't need you, I want you, but I don't need you, and I am supported, I'm taken care of, we really will allow everything into our life with that energy.
It's absolutely amazing how it plays out, and your story of finding the house actually reminded me of a story about me manifesting a house. Have you ever made a vision board? I had created a vision board. It's like making a collage, basically. Take magazines or printouts, or you can even draw, whatever it is, and take a piece of paper or a board and put you can even use Pinterest and put on there what it is you're calling in. And so I kind of had a theme. I wanted to manifest these things. And I had cut out this picture of from a magazine, and I liked how it looked. And I actually drew this little house on it with this little like car in front of it or whatever. And I kind of forgot about it. And I'd written other things on there, like I'd wanted to get married. I put a ring on there. Like there was different things on this vision board. And it was a few years later, and we had to move out of our house. And people kept saying, you're not going to find anything in your price range. And we'd stayed in these shorter term Airbnbs. We were in one for 2 weeks. But I finally get the call from this guy that this house is ready, and we're kind of waiting on it. And he said, I was like when? Because we're paying so much every day for these short terms that we don't want to be paying, right? So the sooner I could move out, the better. And he said, okay, well, you can go over to the place right now. I had someone leave the keys outside in like a box or whatever. Go check it out. So I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be able to move in tomorrow. This is going to be the best. I drive over there. Right away, I'm thinking like, God, I don't want to live on this street. Like, this is not,
Oh no.
no,
Oh
these are not the
no.
people I want to live around. Like, I can feel it already. I get to this place. It's like a container home, which is cool. They take the containers, and I thought it was going to be super cool. They took this container and turned it into a house. I get in there and I'm like, oh my God, it's so not ready. There's not even taps on in the shower. You can just see the pipes sticking out. None of the appliances have been unboxed or used yet. It's not clean like it was being built. But it's also dark. Like it's not as bright as it looked in the photos. And I was just like, there's no way we could move in right now. And I call the guy and he's like, oh yeah, the water's not in. And I'm like, what? Why did you tell me to come over here? So I'm just like at a loss. Like I'm super upset. I'm angry. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? And I get back on I had a four-wheeler at that time. This is in Costa Rica. So I get back on my four-wheeler and I'm driving back to the place that we're renting, the short-term one. And all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is so out of my control. Like, why am I trying to control this? And this guy said for 2 weeks now, it's going to be ready. It's going to be ready. It's clearly not ready. It's not where I
Mhm.
need it to be. I just need to stop asking him and surrender to this process. And I literally yelled out,
Mhm.
that's it. I put my hands, I guess stop driving. Don't worry, I wasn't driving anymore. Put my hands up in the air and said, I surrender. Like I said it out loud. And I drove home and I sat down, and it was, I don't even think, Jen, 20 minutes later, my phone goes beep with a little notification. I
Mhm.
picked up the phone and looked at it, and it's a house that's for rent, a different one. And it like looks really nice. It's meeting all our needs. It's going to meet budget. And so I messaged them, and here comes the ease. She says, sure, do you want to come see it today? And I'm like, what, today? Sure. And so I call
Wow,
my
no
husband. I'm
way.
like, call my husband, he's at work. I'm like, are you available to go? If not, I'll go by myself, but if you're available, come with me. And he said, yeah, I can come also, the ease. So we go out there, and as we're driving towards it, I'm like, this is the house on my vision board. There's literally a cow or a horse in the front yard right now that's on that picture that I had cut out of the magazine. So In retrospect, I wish I had drawn a bigger house as well as a bigger vehicle because I still had that little four-wheeler at that time.
Yeah.
But it's wild, the trees around it. And when I thought about it after, I was like, I cut it out of a local travel tourism magazine of that area. And
Yeah.
it's that wasn't an area I thought I was going to live in. It was
Wow.
just wild. And we moved in like the next day or 2 days later or something. Like it was all zip zap boom. And we only ended up living there for 6 months because then I manifested something better. It was just wild how it all played out. And then all that stress I had gone through, I was like, oh my God, I totally didn't need to. It was because I was trying to control it. I'd gotten in the way
Yeah.
of just allowing the process to play out. And literally those words, I surrender, you got me. And it was that fast that I then was moved into another house and it was private
Yeah.
and it did nice neighbors and all the stuff I wanted. So it's just wild how that can play out and how much vision boarding can bring, manifest that and bring those things to our physical realities. Like I did get married too. So that was a part of the vision board. But the vision board was several years before. So it also takes the time it's going to take for us to,
Mhm.
again, match those frequencies or vibrations, right?
We are the master
Yeah,
manifestors.
I feel like we're cracking the code with the different ways we've been trying. And now we've put this whole thing together and we want to share it with you guys. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Trust the Effing Podcast. We hope you found our discussion on manifestation as fun and interesting as we did. Feel free to share your favorite parts and why you liked it because we love hearing from you. And remember, manifesting your desires is not just a dream. It's a process you can easily follow. So to help you on your manifestation journey, we've created a special PDF outlining the steps to easily manifest your desires. If you'd like to receive this handy guide, simply drop us your email address on whichever platform you follow us on, and we'll send it your way. If you're looking for help or support in releasing unwanted weight and creating your healthiest life, you can reach out to Jennifer Fleischman by finding her on Facebook or Instagram at JenniferFleischman_health coach or email Jennifer@jenniferfleischman.com. If you're looking for intuitive support and a look at the bigger picture in your life and your current experiences, then reach out to me, Rebecca Schmidt, at Trust the Effing Process. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or you can email me at trusttheeffingprocess@gmail.com. As always, we appreciate your support and love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, comment, and share our podcast. And until next time, trust the effing podcast and keep manifesting those desires.